Good. Good morning. It's been a busy week. I want to start off by giving some legislative updates. On Monday, we introduced legislation to empower South Dakota consumers by giving them transparency in their health care costs. We all know that health care can be expensive, and we can make this burden a little bit lighter by giving consumers more information and more knowledge of the actual cost for planned procedures. This bill will give them the in-network and out-of-network provider rates for health care services. It will provide consumers with real-time information on cost-sharing requirements such as deductibles, co-pays, and information on bundled services. And it will also give them accurate information on prescription drugs. I want to highlight a few of the bills that my office has also proposed, which have progressed through the legislative process. And on Monday, my bill to recognize out-of-state health care licenses passed out of the House by a vote of 67-3. As a reminder, this bill codifies executive orders that I put in place last year, which have seen no major concerns since I signed them. This bill will help us with healthcare staffing issues throughout the state of South Dakota. And many folks are moving to our state. They're bringing their expertise and their knowledge here to help care for our people. I'm excited that we'll be able to get these people to work as quickly as possible to help improve opportunities for South Dakotans to get health care. I hope to see this bill on my desk very soon. On Tuesday, my health care reform bill passed out of the Senate unanimously. And as a reminder, this bill would permanently extend the telehealth flexibilities that we utilized during the pandemic. We know that they're working and that these services have been utilized tens of thousands of times. And this legislation is also incredibly important for rural communities and will allow them access to health care that they didn't have before. When paired with the $100 million that we're investing in connecting the state with high-speed broadband, telehealth will completely transform the availability of health care for South Dakotans in these rural communities, those that could not get access to health care in the past. And additionally, my bill to protect the privacy rights of donors to charitable organizations passed the House yesterday. South Dakotans should be free to give to charity without having their personal information released against their will. I'm committed to fighting for the personal rights and the privacy rights of all South Dakotans, especially those who generously give of their own treasures to support a charity. Now, right now, Ian's going to hand out an article to all of you that spells out the direct impact to individual South Dakota's families, to businesses and workers as a result of President Biden's decision to cancel the Keystone XL Pipleine. The article talks about Lori Cox, who runs a hotel in Midland. She's not sure how she's going to make ends meet, and most of her clientele were pipeline workers. She says that she and the workers became like family in recent months. The article also references Trudy Flesner, who runs a truck stop in Milesville. Trudy expanded her operation in anticipation of extra business to provide lodging and services to those who are working on the pipeline. And now that expanded investment appears to be wasted. It's an excellent piece of reporting because it goes beyond the data and the statistics to tell the personal stories behind this executive action. I want to have a candid conversation with all of you. You know, this article was written by an organization and an entity out of Washington, D.C. Why is that? Why is it that no South Dakota reporters covered the real-life impacts of the loss of the pipeline? If I had taken an action that had ended hundreds or thousands of jobs in South Dakota with the stroke of the pen, I know for a fact that all of you would have covered it. I know that if former President Trump had taken an action that had ended hundreds or thousands of jobs for South Dakota families, you would have covered that. And that's how it should be. But frankly, I would expect all of you to treat this new administration exactly the same way. Let's make sure we hold them to the same standard. You call balls and strikes. You don't pick a side. Now, I believe in a fair press, a free press. I don't expect you to take my side on every issue, and I know that that's not your job. But by the same token, you shouldn't take the other side. In my years of public service, and especially this past year, I've realized that the media most often shows their bias by what they choose not to cover. And in this instance, the lack of coverage from South Dakota reporters and media speaks volumes. Now with that, I will open it up to any of your questions that you may have.
Governor Noem, I'm Chris Vondracek from Forum News Service. Have you ever stayed at the Stroble Inn hotel in Midland? I have. I took my wife there for her birthday. That's kind of a boutique hotel though, right? So in some respects, it's not like it's opening the Super 8. So I mean, can you talk about like what's your experience with that hotel? Is that really a economic juggernaut for Midland?
Well, are you saying that it doesn't matter?
Not at all. I think it's a lovely place. I think we should actually all have a nice sort of retreat there. I'm just trying to say that, like, do you think that that's a big employer in town?
I think it's important to Midland, and that family is certainly important to Midland, and therefore it's important to me. I haven't had the privilege to stay there before, but I've certainly been there, been to the town, and visited with the citizens there, and I know that many of them were devastated by the executive orders that came from President Biden's administration.
Governor, you stood for letting people make free decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who invested in these places did so knowing that there's a possibility that the project might not happen. What do you say to them?
I say that absolutely, business owners every day take risks. They take risks to provide for their families and to put food on the table and also take care of their customers. What I'm saying, though, is their story deserves to be told. And that really is the reality of what we're dealing with today, is many times we don't tell their stories about what the real consequences are of government actions, of what presidents decide, what governors decide, and we should tell the consequences on both sides of the issue, not just on one.
Governor Steve Gross.
Yes, Stephen.
Do you have an estimated economic impact for the cancellation of the Keystone XL Pipleine in terms of dollars or jobs?
I don't. The question was from Stephen Groves, who asked if there was an estimated economic impact for the Keystone Pipeline and the cancellation of the project. I don't. We do know that we have pumping stations that were being built and have been built in South Dakota that won't be utilized. There would be property taxes that would have been assessed on the pipeline and those pumping stations that would have gone to those local schools in those counties and would have given revenue to help maintain the roads in those rural areas that often are challenged for funds. There would have been hundreds of jobs during construction and a few jobs that would have remained full-time afterwards. And then also the benefit to local restaurants, gas stations, and entities and small businesses along the route during construction or after needs to be considered. So a complete dollar amount I don't have, although the ripple effect of a project like this would have brought revenue to individuals, to families, and to the states, and very importantly to these rural counties, to their roads and to their school districts.
Governor Dusty Johnson, who succeeded you in Congress, he's on a bill that would basically direct that this project happen again. What's your opinion of that?
Well, I would support that legislation. I believe we should prioritize American energy, all forms of energy. I'm not picking oil and gas over wind, solar, and nuclear and any other form of energy. We have proven that these pipelines are the right policy on safety. They're safer than the way that we are moving oil today over rail and over road. We've proven that it's better for the environment. There's less spills that happen through pipelines than happen through trucks and rail and road. And that also it is going to be much more economical and efficient. It'll allow us to utilize resources that we have here domestically rather than relying on foreign countries that often aren't very friendly to provide for our energy supplies. South Dakota is heavily energy dependent. It's pretty cold in the wintertime, it's pretty hot in the summertime, and it's a long ways to drive anywhere. So I anticipate that with the decisions that the Biden administration has made recently, we can expect to see $3, $4 gasoline within the next year or two, and that will definitely impact every single family in the state. Yeah, Joe.
You started by asking why South Dakota media didn't cover the Midland thing. I know in the legislature there are two efforts to create an online portal for legal notices. I guess I'll say for the Argus leader, we're stretched so thin that we just don't have the resources to send them out.
Right.
There was an effort yesterday by Representative Reed to create a third-party online portal for legal notices that would benefit newspapers. Representative Hansen has a similar bill, but it would let the state do that. Where do you think the state government should be in control of that online portal, or would you like to see it in the media's hands?
We have been working with Reed and Hansen to help facilitate that website. So yes, I do anticipate that the state will have a role and will carry the setup cost to get that portal ready, so it'll be easier for us to post those local notices.
Do you think that should be think that should be the state's responsibility?
I think setting up the website and the portal is something we can help with. The ongoing cost to do so more than likely will be encountered at the local level, but it's something that's still in discussion. The legislature, when they bring forward these bills, will obviously give direction on how it's continued in the future. Yes, go ahead, Lee.
Thank you so much. Lisa from SDPB. There are a couple of bills that are aimed at the transgender community. Do you have any thoughts about what message they could send to the rest of the country about how South Dakota treats unique families, and is it best for business?
Well, we haven't, and I haven't specifically weighed in on those bills. We're watching them, and when they get to my desk, we'll certainly evaluate them. You know, I have been, since I ran for governor, talking about the fact that South Dakota is open for business, that we want people to move here, we want families to move here, and to have the opportunity to pursue their dreams and their careers. So I would hope everyone would recognize the wonderful people that we have here and want to be a part of our communities.
What message do you want to give families with transgender people about South Dakota?
You know, I think that everybody understands that South Dakota is a welcoming place, especially after this last year that we went through in 2020. So if they would like to be a part of our communities, our way of life, if they value their freedoms, I would encourage them to come visit.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.